Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture, and today I'm going to tell you all about the weird saga about mystery WWE employee John claiming the company were forcing people to work. It's a whole goddamn mess that I can't accurately summarise in a few words. I'm also going to tell you about a Raw storyline that's been cancelled, and also the real reason WWE will never push Cesaro.
Plus, Vince McMahon's getting sued, Rob Gronkowski is heading back to the NFL, and WWE Monday Night Raw has broken a record for lowest viewership in 2020. This is the news.
But let's kick things off by unpacking this John thing, right? John. New report here from a guy called John, funnily enough as well. John Alba, local reporter in Florida, done some really good work throughout all of what's been going on with WWE down there. Yesterday, posted a video of somebody speaking on behalf of an anonymous WWE employee called John, who submitted public comment to the Orange County Board of County Commissioners. That could be a bit more succinct, lads. Sort that out. Anyway, I'm going to read you the direct quotation read out to county officials. My employer, WWE, is forcing me to work the TV tapings for its weekly shows despite stay-at-home orders. I am unable to speak out as I need the job, and I know I will be fired if I approach my higher-ups. Despite sanitary precautions, we cannot maintain social distancing as I have to touch other people. I request the government to shut down these tapings and enforce the stay-at-home order so my colleagues and I may follow the same social distancing rules without fear of repercussion or of losing our jobs. So someone claiming to be an anonymous WWE employee there, saying he's been forced to work. We then almost immediately, like within an hour, had an official response from WWE via PW Insider, who said the following: these accusations aren't true. Employees know they can confidentially go to human resources, not the public. Notwithstanding the appropriate protocol, no one would be fired if they were uncomfortable with their surroundings. We've made accommodations for individuals upon request. They then issued another statement a bit later on saying that WWE employees were all social distancing away from the ring. Now, a quick look at various people within WWE's TikTok account shows that that is absolutely 100% not the case. But at the end of it all, I think it's probably quite safe to say that maybe, possibly, kind of, sort of, this John fella was a wind-up merchant from someone outside WWE, right? I mean, you know, they're talking about touching each other, but if you're touching someone, you're presumably a wrestler, and wrestlers in WWE are not employees, they're independent contractors, as we know. I'm not going to discredit this guy entirely, but, you know, there's a strong chance, and WWE have denied it vehemently. Either way, it's been a rough couple of PR weeks for this promotion, man.
We haven't even got onto my story about Vince getting sued yet. No real surprises here. I sense I'm leaning, towards this not necessarily being a hoax, but being sort of perpetrated by someone who probably doesn't work for WWE. I mean, we all know that the underlying tones of WWE saying, hey, you won't be fired if you complain. You'll just be, probably given the gimmick that the Revival were going to have before they left. But, I sense that I just get a feeling about this that it's probably not as legitimate as you would expect. Having said that, the fact that this is even being reported or is being believed in certain areas just tells you all you need to know about how WWE are handling this current situation and the social distancing rules, because it's dodgy as.
Yeah, it really is dodgy. And I'm not sure, we had the story that WWE are not going to punish anyone. There'll be no repercussions if you don't want to work. But it's like, well, dudes, Roman Reigns had to take that into his own hands, this goddamn leukemia sufferer who you should have known shouldn't have been working the tapings. He had to say, I'm not going away. And then you ban everyone from saying his name on TV. Not sure I believe that one there, but whole lot of shenanigans going on. John Alba's reporting was spot on. He constantly said throughout all of this that there's no way of proving this is an anonymous source. Can't vet an anonymous source. He can't because he's removed from the situation. It's a whole goddamn mess.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen people who obviously aren't on TV at the moment for WWE, so they are giving people the option to not come in. I doubt they are forcing people to work, but it just comes across that they are implying like, you don't have to come in, but I don't think legally they are, frog marching people into the Performance Center and forcing them to wrestle and work for WWE. And that's a low bar, that is, isn't it?
Surely is.
Right, let's move on to some better news for WWE. Oh, no, wait. Vince McMahon is being sued. He's being sued by Oliver Luck, who was the commissioner and CEO of the XFL.
Me.
Oh, it's just a 1-2 punch with Vince and his cronies, isn't it? Yeah, the XFL, of course, which was declared bankrupt recently. As a result of all that, Oliver Luck is suing for wrongful termination. This was reported by TMZ. Luck is unhappy with the termination letter he received on April 9th. He said basically he held up everything on his end of the bargain, so believes McMahon needs to pay for the majority of the contract that the two parties signed, because it's not really his fault that the company went bankrupt, and we all kind of know they didn't necessarily need to go bankrupt.
Oh, baby, it sounds very much like a lot of stuff like this is going to come out of the woodwork with what's going on with the XFL and the bankruptcy and trying to find a new buyer and all that stuff. Without being privy to the contracts of Mr. Luck, it's impossible for us to sit here and pass judgment and say, why is he suing? Or, yeah, he should absolutely be suing. But, man, loads of stuff's going to come out. I think it's going to be a very interesting story to follow if you have any interest in the backstage goings on. And who doesn't, man? It's often more exciting than what's happening on TV.
Yeah, I mean, we've been reporting, of course, on all these WWE releases and cuts and what have you, but it'll be very interesting if this starts a tidal wave of complaints and suits and what have you coming out of the XFL, because I think it's kind of been overlooked quite how badly that was handled. And we reported at the time that the WWE had made contingency plans for this league running at a loss for, what was it, 3 years, Andy?
3 years, yeah.
So then to suddenly, I mean, obviously this is completely an unprecedented situation, but yeah, very interesting to see where it goes from here. But in the words of DJ Luck and MC Neat, with a little bit of luck, they can make it through the night.
Very nice. On to something that's actually happening on TV for the first time in this video. Lana and Lashley. It looks like the split angle that they started at WrestleMania with the match with Aleister Black and then continued the next week. Looks like it's over. Got a new article from Wrestling Inc. citing the speculation that this whole thing has just been kaput. This, of course, comes from the angle on this week's Raw in which they kind of hung out in the Performance Center and flipped some tires. I'm kind of into that goofy crap, man. I like strongman nonsense on wrestling shows. Remember when Bobby Lashley did that obstacle course a few years ago and it was awesome? Stuff like that's cool. I like Bobby Lashley as well, but I guess they're just abandoning it like they abandoned the Lana Liv Morgan thing as well, like they abandoned Rusev on television at the end of January. I don't think they have a clue what they're doing with these two. I don't think they plan anything out when it comes to them. I think they just fly by the seat of their pants. Good or bad, that's up for you to decide. But hey, they're an all right act together, right?
Yeah, I think that it doesn't really serve any purpose to split them up right now. It would just be for the sake of causing a storyline of them splitting. Whereas you feel that there is legs to having Lana in Bobby Lashley's corner as he, maybe concentrates on going after someone or a championship that, hasn't been with his current wife, I suppose. So I'm kind of glad that they didn't just needlessly split them after being married for, less than half a year. Even
4 months.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of glad. And speaking of what happened on Monday Night Raw, to be honest, I enjoyed that. I thought, genuinely, it was a really good gimmick for Bobby Lashley. I'm on one today.
Yeah, you are.
Let's talk about Rob Gronkowski. He's going back to the NFL. He literally only signed with WWE like a month ago, but he's going back to the NFL. Adam Schefter of ESPN broke the news yesterday. He's coming out of NFL retirement to go and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which of course his former quarterback pal at the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, has just signed for. He's only 30 years old, so it's not really surprising that he wants to continue playing football. He's an exceptional player, and the only question now is what happens with him and WWE. As I mentioned, he only just signed this contract for them. He's been 24/7 champion. He was literally the second best host at WrestleMania after Titus. So what's going to happen with him in the WWE? Who knows? But he looks like he's heading back to playing a bit of hand egg, Andy.
This is so goddamn weird. What the hell's going on? WWE tweeted something along the lines of, hey, remember the 24/7 title rules are still in effect and you might lose it to Tom Brady. Oh, okay, alright, okay. This celebrity guy that you just signed a month and a half ago or whatever is already gone, it seems. Again, we're not privy to the contract that Rob Gronkowski signed with WWE, but it's so strange. The reaction online when this broke last night was just, what? Okay. Within the wrestling world, I'm sure there was a lot of excitement about it within the football world, because I understand, despite, my fondness for teams like the San Francisco 69ers and Baltimore Bastards, that Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady were a big deal together for the New England nasty boys. Shut up, Andy. Shall we move on to the next story?
Yeah, it's just going to be exciting that Rob Gronkowski is going to have his big moment in Tampa Bay, just not anything related to wrestling. And I did enjoy Mojo Rawley tweeting his best mate, saying he was going to attack him at practice or even during a game to win the 24/7 championship. I'll bet that doesn't happen.
Yeah, enjoy getting arrested, pal. I got one more story here. I'm going to talk... Is it my story? Is it yours? Mate, I'm totally off the rails.
It's all you, baby.
Okay, baby, here we go. One last story today. I'm going to talk about Cesaro and why he won't get a push in WWE. It's not necessarily anything new here, but it's interesting nonetheless. We've got Arn Anderson, WWE Hall of Famer, on his Arn podcast talking about Extreme Rules 2015. Conversation turns to Cesaro. Here's a quote from Arn. He's not a favourite guy, as you know, of the front office for whatever reason that is. They're the only ones that know because everyone else across the planet seems to think he's a superstar, but he continued to get leaned on to stop doing all of his impressive moves as a heel. It was just too flashy and all that stuff. And he also says that by limiting Cesaro's moveset, which is apparently what they're doing, WWE is cheating their audience. Hard to disagree with that. He's one of the most spectacular wrestlers from an in-ring perspective, I think, on the planet. Some of the stuff he can do will blow your wig off, as you can see from me. But, there are other reasons why Cesaro hasn't been pushed as a main event level star. And you can talk about character and promos and so forth and what Vince likes and superstars. Either way, I think it's always interesting to hear the perspective of a legend like Arn.
Yeah, I mean, no real surprises yet again that WWE aren't a huge fan of Cesaro, despite the fact all the rest of us are. You know what really annoys me is when people say, yeah, but the reason why Cesaro doesn't get a push is his character's not very good, he can't really talk. That's what managers are for. That's what managers have been for years, and that's what, they are obsessed with chucking managers on wrestlers who don't need them, who can talk fine. So just do that, but with Cesaro, and it'll work. Now, in WWE's defense, I do kind of support the fact that they told Cesaro not to do certain moves, but only as a heel. You shouldn't be doing boy popping. Look at Pac. Pac doesn't always hit his big high-flying maneuvers when he's playing the heel version of himself, because that's not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be popping the fans. But you kind of know that when he's not playing a heel, or even if he just does something spectacular, they go, ooh, don't do that, because that makes you look really good and makes us look bad. He is a phenomenally talented wrestler and should be allowed to showcase his skills, and I'm kind of in agreement with Arn that they are cheating the fans a little bit. What do you reckon, Andy?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. He's one of the most gifable wrestlers I can think of. Even things like his European uppercut, it's just a thing of beauty, and it's always a real shame for the poor guy. I know he had the Paul Heyman affiliation, didn't quite work out years ago, but you've always got to think, right, if they found the right guy to speak for him and do some of that stuff, you could do a lot more with him. I do like the act with Shinsuke and Sami Zayn, however, not a terrible place for him to be. Loved the match with Daniel Bryan last week. Love to see more from him, but at this stage, this is where we're at.
Yes, and if you're wondering where Sami Zayn was, I think he was having a wisdom tooth out this week, so he wasn't. There's no real mystery why he wasn't on SmackDown. There you go. Right, let's talk about Monday Night Raw and the worst, or lowest, I should say, viewership of 2020 so far. It's a record. This is per data from Showbuzz Daily. The Red Brand's total views declined 4% to an average of 1.84 million across its 3 hours. 1.94 million in the first hour, 1.87 in the second hour, 1.71 million in the third hour. The average viewership, get this, represents a 22% drop on the previous year, but before we get accused of being biased and say, oh, WWE is in the toilet. We should caveat that with the fact that this is unprecedented circumstances, and as with many shows, what's going on in the world and what people are choosing to watch is affecting their ratings.
Yeah.
So it's probably not the fairest reflection of the current state of WWE. But either way, Andy, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch empty arena wrestling apart from hardcores. That's probably what it is, right? You're down to your base audience. It's crap across the board, folks. So pinch of salt everywhere. Let's see where we rebound to once this whole thing figures itself out.
This allows me to transition seamlessly into your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. And the first question from Renee, who says, with Raw ratings down again, do you think fans will be coming back once the global situation is back to normal? After all, WWE hasn't been able to gain fans in 20 years, and the current program is as bad as it has ever been.
Yeah, I think you're going to have run some people off. Like a percentage of the people who've gone away through all of this, I don't think are coming back, just because that's the trend we followed over the past couple of decades, as you say correctly. I think that the first few weeks back we'll get a nice spike. People will be excited. People will be like, bah, 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 this is awesome, wrestling's back, this noise the crowd, people clapping and cheering. But I think after a few weeks it'll taper off. We'll end up back on that same trend we've been on for a while now. And that's how it'll play out. I think that the average number before all this will be a little bit higher than the average number will be after all of this.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Do you know what's going to be really interesting, Andy? Live show attendance. Because I want to go to a wrestling show right now.
Yeah.
I was looking around on Squared Circle this morning. There's that wonderful clip doing the rounds again of that bloke impersonating JR for Y2J's return, which I never fail to get entertained by, especially the bit where they show Jericho's outline and the bloke goes, Bobby Lashley! Yeah, I think it is going to have a big bump when it all goes back to normal. And for once, I would be absolutely fine with WWE just chucking celebrities on there, because every single person on WWE, aside from King Corbin, who I think could handle this really well, as Michael Hamflett has pointed out in the past, they're all going to get huge pops. And yeah, I think people will want, we have escapism now, but people will want the sort of normality of it all to return. And I think it will go back and may even go high. It'd be very interesting. They've had a PR disaster, as we've talked about, so that's going to be interesting to see how that relates to it. But maybe things will go back to normal, if not get a little bit better, because people will be like, oh, thank God things are getting back to normality at least. Second question today comes from Casso, who says, do you think it's a good idea to have Drew McIntyre beat Seth Rollins and then take Seth off TV for a few weeks?
It wouldn't be the worst idea in the world, I don't think. I've lost a bit of interest in Seth now that he doesn't have his gang of bastards anymore. It's a real shame. But, Murphy's back, so maybe they'll reprise that to a certain degree. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in favour of little absences from TV every now and then. A little month here and there, a little time off, a little break. It keeps people fresh, prevents oversaturation. You don't need to have every single person on every single show every single week. And yeah, I'm all in favour of it. Yes.
I think having him, he has to lose to Drew McIntyre, for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank. So he's just lost at WrestleMania, albeit in a memorable match against Kevin Owens. He's just lost against the WWE Champion. I think it's the perfect time to take him away for a while. I agree with you completely, Andy, that we sometimes need a bit of a break. And then he's the Monday Night Messiah. You can do the whole second coming thing. It writes itself. And I think it'd probably be best for all involved. Yeah. Final question today comes from, I'm going to butcher this guy's surname, Adam Charlebois, or Adam Charleboy, who says, why do you think WWE hasn't set up a Hall of Fame building people could visit like the NHL and the MLB?
Interesting. Probably costs, right? Costs. They're all about maximizing profits and, projecting the bottom line. Although maybe that's something that they could charge tickets to and let people in and so forth. I really don't have a good answer for this, unfortunately. I think it seems like a good idea. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. Where would you put it is one thing. Are people flocking to Stamford, Connecticut? Maybe New York City, somewhere like that would make a lot more sense. They obviously have a lot of history in New York. I honestly can't answer it. It seems like something they should really do.
I agree. WWE, I think it'd be a great place to create. And Hamlet was talking the other day when we were discussing potential wacky things that could happen at Money in the Bank at Titan Towers about their storage facility with all the old random props and stuff that they've got. The obvious thing would be the SmackDown fist, but you saw when Sheamus visited there a while back on his social media, all the wild stuff that they've just got boxed away. Put that out on display. I'd go and visit it and go and knock the Hall of Fame. So let's hope that WWE can do something like that in the future. Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and you might not have seen this, Andy Murray, but of course we're coming up fast to Triple H's 25th anniversary. I saw you sharing your favourite Triple H moment on Twitter. No prizes for guessing what that was. And to commemorate it, here is an image of Triple H pointing to Triple H. Well, it's specifically pointing to Hunter Hearst Helmsley to celebrate his 25th anniversary. I mean, fair play, this is genius.
Yeah, this is quality. Triple H taking a mark pick with himself. You love to see it.
I can't imagine how self-indulgent this Triple H celebration is going to be, or how much they're going to rewrite history. The Reign of Terror was actually the reign of wow. Wasn't that all great, guys?
Yeah, that squash he had with the Ultimate Warrior never happened. He actually won.
And that time he faced Booker T, and it wasn't completely racist.
Remember Katie Vick? Good, actually.
Remember Katie Vick? No, you don't. Okay, there we go. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. And join myself and the Dudley Boys live on YouTube at 4 p.m. today. We'll be answering all your questions surrounding the Wednesday Night War and, of course, previewing NXT and AEW Dynamite. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hoopla.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.